Chapter 2077. Suyen was one step too late. Ning Xuelua had already gotten into a taxi. The car made a turn and soon disappeared on the busy road. Suyen cursed under his breath and hurriedly chased after them. Ziling's company building. In the president's office, Han Momo was crying and asking Ning Shi to work overtime. "Boss, I beg of you, please arrange for me to work overtime. Saturdays and weekends, give me a full schedule every night." Ning Shi put down the document in her hand, pinched her eyebrows, and looked at the little girl in front of her, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "It's the first time I've heard such a refreshing and refined request." Han Momo was so anxious that her eyes turned red. "Boss, I'm serious. All right, tell me, why do you want to work overtime?" Han Momo didn't speak for a long time. Finally, she cried out with grievance. "My parents abuse me at home every day." Ning Shi paused. "Torture you?" Han Momo suddenly began to complain. "Boss, I'm only 24 years old. It had only been 2 years since he graduated from university. The age of a flower. They began to urge me to find a man, despising me for not having a boyfriend. But they were the ones who were so strict with me in the past. My dad almost broke a male classmate's leg when he came to my house to inform me of something. Now, they are all urging me to find a man. Where am I supposed to find one?" The most outrageous thing was that the two of them showed off their affection in front of me every day, and then mocked me for being a single dog. There was no way to continue living like this. "Boss, my heart is so bitter. Please let me work overtime. I don't want to go back and eat dog food anymore." Han Momo didn't even gasp for breath when she said so much at once. It was really sad to hear it, and tears flowed down. After crying, Han Momo saw Ning Shi staring at her blankly. She had never seen Ning Shi look so lonely. She couldn't help but feel worried. She scratched her head and asked cautiously, "Boss, what's wrong with you?" Ning Shi came back to her senses and shook her head. "Nothing." Listening to Han Momo talking about her interactions with her parents, she suddenly felt a little emotional. At this time, Han Momo's cell phone suddenly rang. When Han Momo saw the caller ID, she suddenly felt as if she was facing a formidable enemy. Looking at Ning Shi's expression, she was about to cry. She hurriedly took the mobile phone aside and began to make the call in a low voice. "Mom. No. I really have to work overtime. I'm not lying. I'll be a puppy if I lie to you. I'm not calling you a puppy. I'm talking about myself. All right. Anyway, I really have to work overtime." Ning Shi sat at her desk, not in a hurry. She just quietly watched Han Momo make the phone call. Seeing the little girl crying, he chuckled and waved at her, indicating for her to give him the phone. Seeing this, Han Momo hesitated for a moment and handed over the phone. "Hello, Aunt Han, I'm Momo's boss." "Ah." Han's mother, who was still talking about her daughter on the other end of the phone, suddenly stopped talking when she heard Ning Shi's voice. She said in a very eager tone, "It's Momo's boss. Hello. Did Momo cause you any trouble? Or did you do something wrong?" "No, Momo works very hard and does a good job. I'm going to promote her, so she may have more work during this period." Ning Shi said softly, "Ah, it's fine. It's time for young people to work hard. It's Momo's honor that you value her. That lass had a carefree personality. Did she often make mistakes? If she makes a mistake, boss, don't hesitate to scold her. Then she will remember." Chapter 2078. Han Momo's face turned red when she overheard her mother's words. "Mom, I didn't. Don't talk nonsense." Ning Shi chuckled carelessly. "Momo has a good personality and is pretty. She is very popular in the company." "Oh really?" Mom Han said modestly, but her tone showed that she was very happy. Ning Shi chatted with Mom Han for a long time before hanging up. She even made Mom Han give up the idea of urging her to find a boyfriend. Han Momo was so grateful that she even wanted to marry Ning Shi. "Brother Shi, you are lucky that you are not a man. Otherwise, the girls in our company would fight every day." Ning Shi looked at the little girl's back and shook her head with a smile. When she was in the Tang family, because of the preference for boys over girls, she was basically an invisible person. It was already very fortunate that she was able to survive without being thrown away. After returning to the Ning family, She was finally no longer invisible. However, under all the probing and harsh gazes, she passed her days as if she was treading on thin ice. She seemed to have never experienced what an ordinary family's life was like, and how to get along with her parents. While she was lost in thought, her cell phone suddenly rang. Lu Tingxiao, who had just gone to F country on a business trip in the morning, sent several text messages in a row. It's getting cold this afternoon. I asked Wanwan to bring you clothes. Remember to wear them. Don't be greedy. I've made the bird's nest for you. Put it in and set it to stew automatically. Remember to eat it. I've read the script for you. It's very suitable for you. You can take it. Do you miss me? Seeing the last 3 words, Ningxi couldn't help smiling. Come on, it's only been 5 hours, okay? You should have just gotten off the plane, right? Ningxi leaned on the table and replied with a smile. The first second you left, I missed you. The second you left, I missed you. The third second you left, I missed you. The third second you left, I missed you. I missed you. I've missed you 18,000 times. At the moment, there was a noisy discussion in the front hall of Zealing. After a group of employees heard the commotion, they craned their necks to look over. Miss Ning, I'm sorry. You can't go in without an appointment. Miss Ning, don't go in anymore. Please don't make it difficult for us. Miss Ning. Miss Ning. The receptionist was stopping a woman, and the person being stopped was the boss of history, Ning Xueluo. What's going on? Why is Ning Xueluo in our territory? Fuck. Could it be that she still wants to cause trouble? I don't think so. Why would he come alone to cause trouble? What the hell are you doing now? In any case, it's definitely nothing good. Everyone saw that Ning Xueluo seemed to be very emotional at this moment. No matter how the receptionist tried to persuade her, she wouldn't listen and kept repeating, I have something urgent to discuss with Ningxi. Please let her come out and see me. Seeing that the staff was still not letting her in, Ning Xueluo had already barged in agitatedly. Sister, don't hide from me. It's time to put an end to things between us. In the past, no matter what you did to me, I could endure it. But this time, you've gone too far. If you have any enmity, come at me. I will accept it all. Why did you attack Mother? Even innocent children are not spared. There was too much information in Ning Xueluo's words. In an instant, almost all the onlookers were stunned. What is Ning Xueluo talking about? She seems to be saying that our boss attacked Mother or something. Even the children were not spared. Nonsense. Chapter 2079. Zeiling's employees knew that Ning Xueluo was pregnant, so they didn't dare to touch her. In the end, she actually let her break into the building. The receptionist was so anxious that she had to call Ning Shi. President Ning, Miss Ning Xueluo suddenly came to see you. She didn't make an appointment. We stopped her, but she was very agitated and kept saying some strange things. Then she barged in when we weren't paying attention. The other end of the phone was silent for a moment, and then Ning Shi's reassuring voice came. What did she say? The receptionist's tone sounded a bit hesitant. After a while she said that the matter between the two of you should come to an end. She also asked you why you attacked her mother. She said that you wouldn't even let an innocent child off. CEO Ning, I'm sorry for letting her speak nonsense in the company. The main reason was that she was pregnant. We were afraid that something would happen, so we didn't dare to stop her. I understand. Let everyone do their own things. Yes, Director Ning. After a moment of chaos, the company temporarily returned to peace. Ning Shi hung up the phone in the office. Ning Xueluo suddenly came to the company to look for her, and she even barged in. This wasn't like her. Lay hands on my mother? They wouldn't even let innocent children off. She had previously received news that Zhuang Lingyu was pregnant. From what Ning Xueluo said, Zhuang Lingyu's child was gone. There was a commotion outside, and the office door was pushed open from the outside. A few security guards stood behind Ning Xueluo awkwardly. Boss Shi. It's fine. You guys can go back. Yes. The security guards breathed a sigh of relief and left. For a moment, there were only 2 people left in the large office. Ning Xueluo's hair was loose, and her makeup was messy. She looked very embarrassed, and seemed to be on the verge of breaking down. As soon as she saw Ning Shi, she knelt down in front of her and said, Sister, I beg you. No matter how much you hate me, come at me. Don't hurt others. The corners of Ningxi's mouth twitched. She deeply felt that the Oscars owed her a little golden statue. No one would doubt that she was a filial daughter with a sincere heart when she saw her mother's miscarriage, and her expression was filled with self-blame, guilt and pain. All right, there's no one else here. You don't have to show off your acting skills to me. The moment Ningxi's voice fell, the anger on Ning Xueluo's face immediately faded like the tide, suddenly turning into a strange calmness. She stood up slowly and combed the slightly messy hair on her temples. She smiled lightly and said, CEO Ning, it's really not easy to see you now. Eldest Miss Ning, what can I do for you? Ning Xueluo's face twitched when she heard Ningxi say Miss Ning in a mocking tone. Hey, of course. I'm here to appreciate how proud Director Ning is now. The gloom in Ning Xueluo's eyes surged like a whirlpool. Ningxi, you must be very proud now, right? You forced me out of the entertainment industry and let everyone know that I was born to a country bumpkin. You even made the whole world know that Su Yan wanted to divorce me because of you. Now, even the history that I single-handedly created has been destroyed in your hands. Now my reputation is in tatters and I've lost all face. I have nothing now. Are you happy and proud? The only thing she had left now was the position of Madame Su. If it wasn't for the child in her belly, she would have been mercilessly abandoned by the Su family. This bitch, she had forced her to this point. Chapter 2080. Ningxi was surprised to hear this. Is it something to be proud of to crush a bug? You. Ning Xueluo suddenly clenched her fingers. She was so angry that her body began to tremble, but she soon recovered her elegant posture. She smiled casually and said unhurriedly, Ningxi, I wanted to spare your life. Outside the door, there was a flurry of footsteps, and Su Yan's voice seemed to be heard. Ning Xueluo looked at the glass of water on the tea table out of the corner of her eye, and slowly gave Ningxi a strange sneer. 3 white pills appeared in her palm. The pills fell into the glass of water one by one from Ning Xueluo's palm, and instantly melted and disappeared. Ning Xueluo picked up the glass of water, and then continued to say quietly, You can only blame yourself for walking on the road to death. Then don't blame me. With that, she drank up the water in the glass. But in a moment, Ning Xueluo's face suddenly changed. The glass in her hand fell to the ground, making a cracking sound. Ning Xueluo's mouth overflowed with blood. She covered her stomach and rolled on the ground. Xueluo. Su Yan slammed the door open and rushed in when he heard the commotion. His expression changed drastically when he saw Ning Xueluo lying on the ground and the broken glass next to her. He also saw the blood spreading under her body. Ningxi sat at the desk and didn't even frown from beginning to end. Ning Xueluo covered her stomach incredulously and stared at the broken glass on the ground. The water. Sister. You. Ningxi slightly raised the corner of her mouth. Before Ning Xueluo could speak, she directly interrupted her. Okay. I know you want to say that I drugged you. It's a pity that I don't have a surveillance camera here. Otherwise the evidence will be more conclusive. But this glass is not worth much. You can take it. Hearing Ningxi's obvious sarcasm, Ning Xueluo's body stiffened for a moment, but it quickly turned into a pained expression. Sister. I came to find you today because I wanted to end things with you. No matter what you want me to do, I just hope that you don't hurt innocent people. Why? Why are you still so stubborn? The child in my stomach is Big Brother Yan's child. The child is innocent. Mother's child is already gone. Isn't that enough? Why? Xueluo. Su Yan hurriedly carried the unconscious Ning Xueluo and looked back at Ningxi with a complicated expression. Then he quickly rushed out. Su Yan carried Ning Xueluo all the way through the staff area and the main hall. As expected, it caused another round of surprised discussions. In the office, Ningxi stared at the direction in which Su Yan left. No one knew what she was thinking. Dear Town Flower House. After returning home after work, Ningxi immediately made 2 phone calls. Soon both sides replied. In the first call, Shi Xiao confirmed for her that Zhuang Lingyu's child was indeed gone, and it was deliberately hit by a car. It seemed that the blame was put on her again, but the other party definitely didn't have any evidence. Otherwise, Zhuang Lingyu would have sent her to prison. Ning Xuelua wouldn't have deliberately come to the company to put on such a show, and didn't hesitate to use such an extreme method as killing her own child to frame her. Chapter 2081. The second call was a long-distance call. As she expected, Jason said that after he failed last time, Ning Xuelua never contacted him again. Otherwise, Solomon would definitely contact her if there was any news from Ning Xuelua. However, there was no news from him during this period of time. She sat on the sofa and thought for a while. She made a third call and asked Tang Lang to help her investigate something. 10 minutes later, Tang Lang called her back. No one in the underworld took Zhuang Lingyu's job. There was no doubt that the murderer, who hit Zhuang Lingyu's child, must have something to do with Ning Xuelua. As long as she found this person and proved that he was ordered by Ning Xuelua, then everything would be revealed. But now this person seemed to not exist at all. He did not leave any clues. Ning Xuelua did not use her connections with Solomon, nor did she hire someone to kill him. Now, everyone knew that Ning Xuelua entered her company. She was fine when she entered, but when she came out, the child was gone. Moreover, Su Yan was there to testify. No wonder Ning Xuelua made such a big fuss this time. She even used such a high profile, and such a simple and violent way to frame her. It seemed that she came prepared. If she strangled her to death, she would definitely not be able to get away with the crime this time. Ningxi's fingers slowly tapped on the glass coffee table under her palm, thinking carefully. The next day, Ningxi seemed not to be affected by this matter at all. She was quite interested in a competition with a famous racer in the circle. In the afternoon, she made an appointment with director Martin, the screenwriter, and the special effects artist to talk about the shooting of the second film. When she returned home in the evening, her personal phone rang urgently. TSK, it was faster than she thought. She could not wait. The call was from Grandpa himself. Hello, Grandpa. Xiaoxi, you. Anyway, come to the hospital now. Got it, Grandpa. I'll be there in a minute. Ning Xuelua naturally had to ask Grandpa to make a decision on such a big matter. Not only would she ask Grandpa, but the whole family would also be invited to testify. Ningxi changed her clothes and then drove alone to the First People's Hospital of the capital. Just as she had expected, everyone was present in the spacious ward. The Ning family, the Su family, Grandpa, and even Ning Qiutong had rushed back from abroad. Ning Xuelua's face was pale, and she was lying on the bed in despair. Zhuang Lingyu was sitting on the wheelchair beside the bed, and her face was full of heartache. Ning Yahua was standing beside her with a gloomy expression, and Su Yan's family was sitting on the sofa opposite them. Everyone's expression was unusually solemn. In addition to these people, there was also a room full of relatives from the Ning family and the Su family who came to visit Ning Xuelua. At this moment, they were all comforting Ning Xuelua. Xueluo, don't be sad. The old man will definitely help you. Xueluo, you are the eldest daughter-in-law of our Su family. The child in your stomach is the eldest grandson of the Su family. Do you think that our Su family is easy to bully? Exactly. If there's no explanation for this, there's absolutely no end to this. The old man sat by the window with the help of his walking stick, his face full of exhaustion. The Ning family suddenly lost 2 children, and the old man was probably the one who suffered the biggest blow. It was a matter of great importance, and there was a room full of people. Needless to say, these people were probably secretly called by Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Xuelua to testify. Ningxi understood that in this case, even Grandpa could not speak for her. Chapter 2082. When Ningxi appeared at the door of the ward, all the eyes in the room fell on her and stared at her. Xiaoxi, come here. Only Ning Qiutong looked relaxed and at ease. The moment she saw Ningxi, she greeted her warmly. Seeing Ning Qiutong, Ningxi frowned slightly. She greeted her grandfather, and then walked towards Ning Qiutong. Aunt. Ning Qiutong looked at her with concern, and was relieved after a while. Not bad. You've put on some weight. You finally have some flesh on your face. Ning Yahua was so angry that his face twisted when he saw Ningxi chatting with Ning Qiutong, as if nothing had happened. Bastard. Hurry up and kneel before me. Ning Yahua looked at her with disgust, as if he was looking at trash. Ning Shi sneered and said casually, I kneel to heaven, to earth and to my parents. Chairman Ning, why do you want me to kneel down? Ning Yahua stopped breathing. You inhumane bastard. You're still trying to flatter me now. Some of the Ning family's relatives whispered to each other in disgust. What is this girl talking about? Isn't he her father? How could she say such disgraceful words? Isn't she afraid of being struck by lightning? Zhuang Lingyu wanted to pounce on Ning Shi and kill her the moment she saw her. She screamed with a ferocious face. Ning Shi, you're such a vicious bastard. You didn't even spare the children. I should have strangled you when I gave birth to you. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have been greedy for my parents' warmth. I'll give it back to you. I'll give it back to you. Can you give my child back to me? Give my child back to me. Ning Xuelua was crying so hard that she was in a trance. Xuelua, my poor daughter. It's not your fault. I didn't protect you. I shouldn't have brought this bastard back. Seeing the miserable look of the mother and daughter, the people next to them looked at Ning Shi with even more disdain. What a sin. 2 children were killed in one go. She's so beautiful, but she's so vicious. Quiet, all of you. The old man stomped his walking stick hard. The noise in the ward finally quieted down a little. Xiaoxi, tell me what's going on? Grandpa Xing asked in a deep voice. Ning Yahua said angrily, Dad, why are you still asking her at this time? She first hired a killer to kill Lingyu's child. Xue Luo impulsively went to expose her. She was so angry that she poisoned Xue Luo's water, wanting to kill Xue Luo's child as well. This bastard probably wanted to kill Xue Luo as well. The doctor had said that it was an extremely strong abortion drug, and had even added 3 times the usual amount. Xue Luo's life was saved because of her luck. She's inhumane. As Ning Yahua said every word, in the ward, pairs of eyes fell on Ning Shi like wolves and tigers. Seeing that Ning Shi had become the target of public criticism, Ning Xuelua leaned weakly in Su Yan's arms. She raised the corners of her mouth strangely, looked at Ning Shi's eyes unscrupulously, and sneered crazily in her heart. Oh, Ning Shi, quibble, explain. A final struggle before death. Chapter 2083. Say that I drugged her, and that I wanted to harm my own child. Say it out loud and see who in this room would believe you? Who would believe that I would drug my own child and kill my own child? Ning Qiutong frowned, and was about to speak, but Ning Shi held her hand. Ning Shi's gaze swept over everyone calmly, and the corners of her mouth rose slightly, revealing a cold smile. So what if I did it? Even if I poison her to death, what can you do to me, let alone the child? The moment Ning Shi finished speaking, the expressions of everyone in the room changed. Su Yan, who had been enduring with a complex expression, was full of shock and disbelief. Xiaoxi, you really did it. Although the truth was in front of him, he still couldn't accept it after hearing Ning Shi admit it. Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Yahua were like wild beasts who saw blood, tearing at her crazily. You beast! Beast! What sin did our Ning family commit? How could there be such a vicious bastard? You didn't even spare your own brother. Oh my God! How dare she admit it? What else can she do? The evidence is conclusive, she can't escape. She didn't show any remorse after doing such a thing. Her attitude is so arrogant. She's too much. At this time, not only Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Yahua, but Zheng Minjun and Su Hongguang's faces also became extremely ugly. Zheng Minjun rushed out and started scolding. You vicious woman! Even if you like our Su Yan, and want to marry into the Su family, you can't kill Su Yan's child. This is Su Yan's flesh and blood. How can you be so vicious? Now you only did it to the child. If he really marries into our Su family in the future, if I don't like him, you'll harm me too. Su Hongguang didn't expect that as a descendant of the Zhuang family, Ning Shi's character would be so bad. This wasn't a small matter of jealousy, this was murder. After killing someone, she still had a calm expression without any guilt. How scary was this woman? Zhuang Lingyu clutched her chest that was aching with anger. You're worse than a beast. You're so despicable, not even 1/10,000th of Xue Luo. You even had the wishful thinking to marry into the Su family and steal Xue Luo's husband. Look at what you are. Are you worthy? Su Hongguang said gravely. I'm sorry, Yahua. Although Ningxi is your biological daughter, this is a matter of life and death. I'm afraid we can't let it go so easily. Zheng Minjun immediately screamed in excitement. She killed my grandson. Of course I have to call the police. Ningxi raised her eyebrows. Oh, call the police? Seeing Ningxi's fearless appearance, Ning Yahua was exasperated. Bastard. I don't care who's behind you or who's supporting you. If this matter is not resolved, don't even think about going anywhere. At first, he had some scruples about the Zhuang family. But when he thought of the Zhuang family's strict rules, if the Zhuang family knew what Ningxi had done, she would be the first to be punished. Zhuang Lingyu sneered. You're so fearless because you have a rich backer behind you. Even Zhuang Lingyu, Ningxi's biological mother, said so. The others in the room looked at Ningxi with even more strange expressions. Rumor has it that she has a sugar daddy. So it's true. This kind of person actually wants to marry our Su Yan. What a joke. Little celebrities nowadays really don't have any self-awareness. They're all sharpening their brains and racking their brains just to marry into a rich family. They dare to use any dirty methods. They don't even know what kind of trash they are. Chapter 2084. Hearing the sarcasm of the Su family's relatives, Ning Yahua's face turned pale. He just hoped that this dirty stain would disappear from the world forever. He was a little hesitant at first, thinking that he couldn't wash his dirty linen in public. If it got out, he would lose face. But at this moment, he had made up his mind to send Ningxi to jail and remove this evil creature from everyone's sight. Otherwise, he didn't know how many shameful things would happen in the future. Seeing that Ningxi was doomed this time, Zheng Minjun was furious because her grandson was killed, so she immediately shed all pretenses of cordiality. Ningxi, don't be delusional. As long as I'm alive, you can never marry Su Yan in this life. Hearing those words, Ning Qiutong was about to explode. If Ningxi hadn't held her down, she would have gone berserk. She knew that Su Yan was Ningxi's biggest wound. Initially, she was worried about Ningxi, but she saw that Ningxi was smiling instead of getting angry. She lowered her eyes and slightly curved the corners of her lips. That smile set off the girl's exquisite little face, and it was extremely stunning. Ningxi lowered her eyes and chuckled. Then she raised her eyes and looked at Zheng Minjun. Sorry, I have high standards. I'm afraid your son is not worthy of my attention. Besides, I got married 2 years ago, and I have no interest in bigamy. Mrs. Su, you're overthinking it. You. How dare you? Zheng Minjun was furious. How dare this bitch say that she had high standards and looked down on Su Yan? As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly noticed the second half of Ningxi's words and froze. What did you say? You're married? Su Yan's expression instantly changed when he heard Ningxi's last sentence. Ningxi was married? And she got married 2 years ago. Su Yan had no time to think and blurted out. Cici, what do you mean? You're married? How is that possible? Ningxi glanced at Su Yan indifferently. What? Do I need to report to you about my marriage? The others in the room didn't seem to expect this result either. They all looked at each other in surprise and disgust. No way. Ningxi was already married? I've never heard of it. Nonsense. They were in the entertainment industry, so this kind of thing had to be kept secret. After getting married, it was worthless. Besides, we don't even know which old man she's married yet. Would she have the face to announce it? This girl is so fearless. Don't tell me she's relying on her husband? TSK, she's just an actress. Besides, she wasn't that popular 2 years ago. How could she marry into a good family? At most, he's just a nouveau riche. Hearing that Ningxi was married, Ning Xueluo was surprised, but she soon regained her sarcasm. A married bitch could never compete with her for Su Yan. Ning Yahua's face was also full of contempt and disdain. Ningxi, let me tell you. I don't care what kind of trash you married, or what kind of backing you have. Even if the Heavenly King were to come today, it would be useless. Just at this moment, a series of steady and powerful footsteps sounded from afar. Almost at the moment when Ning Yahua's roar stopped, the door of the ward was pushed open by a slender finger. The person who came was tall and had a frosty face. His body was wrapped in the extremely cold pressure of a world of ice and snow. His cold eyes swept across everyone in the ward. His low, hoarse, and cold voice hovered in everyone's ears. Really? End of 8 p.m., husband and wife abuse each other. Chapter 2085. The man was dressed in a tailored silver-gray custom-made suit, with a meticulous white shirt exposed at the collar. The obsidian cufflinks on the cuffs exuded a cold luster. Originally, this suite was spacious enough to accommodate so many relatives and friends, but the moment the man stepped in, the whole space suddenly became cramped, and the overwhelming pressure of a superior shrouded the room. The moment he saw the man, Ning Yahua's arrogant expression froze as if petrified, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Lu. Because he was too shocked, Lu couldn't say the next word for a long time. In the ward, the relatives of the two families who were pointing at Ning Shi and mocking him just now became silent, as if someone had pinched their throats. They stared in disbelief at the man who only lived in legends and gossip after meals. The man who was so high up that even they, who were rich and noble, might not have a chance to meet in their lives, had actually appeared in front of them alive and well. In the early years, they didn't even know what this man looked like. It wasn't until the past 2 years, when Lu Tingxiao appeared in the public eye several times, that he was exposed. He was stuck on the bedside by the daughters of the capital's boudoirs, and was crowned with the title of the nation's husband. His popularity crushed all the male idols. Moreover, the man's real body was thousands of times more handsome than those blurry photos and videos. Especially the aura around him. It was so intimidating that it made one's heart numb. At this moment, he was wearing a large black trench coat outside his suit, looking travel-worn. Behind him was a man who looked like a cold assistant, and outside the ward, there were 2 rows of fully armed bodyguards. A murderous aura quickly spread in the air. Oh my God. It's Lu Tingxiao. Am I dreaming? Someone finally snapped out of his daze, after an unknown amount of time. Everyone else also reacted. Quick, pinch me quick. Oh, so handsome. Much more handsome than in the photos. I'm going crazy. What the hell is going on? Why is Lu Tingxiao here? Not only those people, but Ning Shi was also quite surprised. She didn't expect Lu Tingxiao to suddenly appear, and in such a high-profile way. Aren't you coming back the day after tomorrow? Ning Shi subconsciously blurted out. Lu Tingxiao's gaze, which could almost freeze a person, fell on the girl's body. It was as if the first snow in spring had melted. He didn't reply, but stared at the girl with a frown. He took off his windbreaker and strode over to the girl. First, he touched the girl's little hand. Then he draped his jacket over her thin shoulders. His low, hoarse voice sounded slightly displeased. Didn't I say that the temperature has dropped recently? Ning Shi looked down at her ankle-length woolen skirt. I've worn too much. Lu Tingxiao squeezed the girl's fingers. Your hands are cold. Ning Shi. All right, there was a kind of coldness that made her sweetheart feel that she was cold. At this moment, everyone in the ward was shocked. Hold hands. Lu Tingxiao even personally helped Ning Shi put on his coat, and his words were so affectionate that it could melt people's hearts. Lu Tingxiao and Ning Shi? He was about to go crazy. What was going on? However, what happened next shocked them even more. Chapter 2086. Lu Tingxiao took Ning Shi's hand and ignored all the stunned gazes in the room. He walked through the crowd that automatically separated into 2 rows and walked up to Grandpa Ning. Then he called out, Grandpa. Grandpa. What did Lu Tingxiao just call Grandpa Ning? Looking at his grandson-in-law, Grandpa Ning nodded with relief. You're back. Sit down. Ning Yahua finally couldn't stand it anymore and rushed up to Ning Ziyuan. Dad, what's going on? You know Mr. Lu? Grandpa Ning looked at his son and the other relatives who looked as if they had seen a ghost. Don't make such a fuss. How can I not know my grandson-in-law? Grandson-in-law. Everyone in the room was almost numb from the shock. Cici did get married to Tingxiao 2 years ago. How is that possible? Ning Yahua was completely dumbfounded. When Cici just came back to China, the two had already started dating. Then they got married, But because of Cece's career, they didn't make it public, Grandpa Ning said matter-of-factly. But, Dad, it's such a big deal. Why didn't you tell me? Ning Yahua almost collapsed. Why should I tell you? Grandpa Ning asked. Ning Yahua almost suffocated. Hearing the conversation between Ning Yuan and Ning Yahua, everyone in the ward was stunned. My God. Ning Shi's husband is Lu Tingxiao. Really? Lu Tingxiao called Grandpa Ning. Of course it's true. The girlfriend that Lu Tingxiao revealed to the public is Ning Shi. At this point, everyone looked at each other in dismay. The Ning family's relatives looked at the Su family with a strange gaze. Ning Shi was married long ago to the Lu family. How could she covet Su Yan? At this moment, a man who seemed to have his own light effect walked in with a smile and said leisurely, "TSK, my sister-in-law just said that she has very high standards." The man was Lu Tingxiao's younger brother Lu Jingli. Lu Jingli was an unusually high-profile guy, and he used to be in the entertainment industry, so everyone knew his face. When everyone heard Lu Jingli's words, their faces turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Please. His foresight was more than just high. I'm about to ascend to the heavens, all right? They had thought that Ning Shi was just boasting. Who knew that? She was clearly being modest. At this moment, the people with the ugliest expressions were probably the relatives of the Su family. After all, it was they who had just mocked Ning Shi for trying to get into the Su family by any means possible. Especially Zheng Minjun, at this moment. Her face turned red as if she had been slapped hard in the face, and she couldn't say a word. Lu Jingli smiled like a flower. He first ran to greet the old man, then went to Ning Qiutong's side and said sweetly, "You must be the beautiful aunt that my sister-in-law often talks about." "Hello, auntie, I am Lu Jingli." Ning Qiutong was very happy. "Hello. Thank you for taking care of Xiaoxi." She knew something about Xiaoxi and had told her many times to take a good look at her. But she really didn't expect that Xiaoxi's man was Lu Tingxiao. Chapter 2087. In the corner, Su Yan stared blankly at the scene in front of him. From the moment Lu Tingxiao walked up to Ning Shi and took her hand, his mind went blank. He stared at the perfect couple and completely lost the ability to think. As for Ning Shualua, who was lying on the sickbed, she was gloomy and silent. Looking at Lu Tingxiao and Ning Shi holding hands intimately, looking at the ring on Ning Shi's neck that she had never noticed before, looking at Lu Tingxiao politely chatting with Grandpa Luo, looking at Lu Jingli and Ning Qiutong talking happily. The poison called jealousy crazily corroded her internal organs. How could it be? How could it be? The man Ning Shi married was Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao. Young Master Luai. I'm Ning Yahua, Cece's father. We met last time when you came to the Lu family to pick up Cece. Ning Yahua felt that Lu Jingli was easy to talk to, so he hurriedly tried to get close to him. Damn it. No wonder Lu Jingli came to pick up Ning Shi at his birthday party last time. At that time, he had always suspected that Ning Shi had something to do with Lu Jingli, but he had never expected that it was not Lu Jingli but Lu Tingxiao. Now he was so regretful that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Ning Qiutong looked at Ning Yahua and sneered. Humph, you always treat that ungrateful wretch as a clown. Seeing that she married into the Su family, you feel that she has married into a good family, and want to show off all day long. Now you regret it when you see that Cece has married into a good family? Ning Yahua's face turned pale. Why should I regret it? I'm happy for Cece that she has married into a good family. Ning Qiutong laughed out loud. Who was the one who threatened to call the police just now and said that even God couldn't save her? At this time, Zhuangling Yu finally couldn't bear it anymore. She has done such a vicious thing. Is it wrong for us to do so? Then she looked at Lu Tingxiao and said, President Lu, no matter how powerful the Lu family is, you can't ignore the law. It's a fact that Ning Shi has killed 2 people. Ha! At this time, Ning Shualua on the sickbed clutched her stomach and groaned in pain. Everyone's attention was immediately diverted, and they surrounded Ning Shualua. Shualua, what happened to you? My stomach. My stomach hurts. Ning Shualua's face was pale. She was on the verge of death. She looked like a withered flower. You've been poisoned too deeply. The doctor said it would be a little painful. Bear with it. Sigh, what a sin. Seeing Ning Xuelua like this, people in the ward looked at Ning Shi in a different light. Ning Shi was living a good life now, but Ning Xuelua was hurt like this. Now she was bullying others just because she married Lu Tingxiao. That was too much. Zhuang Lingyu walked quickly to the bed, her face full of anxiety and heartache. At this moment, Zheng Minjun took the opportunity to say, Boss Lu, I'm afraid you don't know yet. This woman is very vicious. Because of a small conflict, not only did she kill her biological mother's child, but she also poisoned the flesh and blood of the Su family. How could such a person be fit to marry into the Lu family? You're simply tarnishing the family's prestige. Ning Xueluo's face was filled with panic and despair, but her hidden eyes were staring at Ning Shi with incomparable resentment. Great. Just nice. Ning Shi, this time, I'll make you lose everything and let you taste the feeling of falling from heaven to hell. Lu Tingxiao didn't even look at those who kept stirring up trouble. He lowered his eyes and focused on his little wife next to him. Yes, you're right. You don't deserve her. Zheng Minjun cheered up and thought that Lu Tingxiao had taken her words seriously. But the next second, Lu Tingxiao continued to say, the Lu family and I don't deserve Xiaoxi. Everyone. They were all speechless. Lu Jingli. He knew it. Chapter 2088. Seeing Lu Tingxiao's attitude, Ning Xuelua's face suddenly changed. She clenched her fists tightly. The next second, when she raised her head, she was full of grief and indignation. Boss Lu, I understand that you are close to my sister, and you will naturally side with her. But I really hope that you can take a good look at the people around you. Maybe she is not what you think at all. I let my sister down first. No matter what she does to me, I will accept it. But what about my mother? What did my mother do wrong? I will never allow anyone to hurt my family, not even my sister. Boss Lu, if you don't believe us, you can ask the police to find out the truth. When you know the whole truth, I believe you will make a fair judgment. Oh Ningxi, you have killed 2 people. I'd like to see if you can still keep your position as the First Lady. Ning Xuelua's words made everyone nod secretly. At the same time, they also sighed at Ning Xuelua's filial piety. Lu Jingli rubbed his chin and clicked his tongue. It was a little eye-opening. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen such a shameless person. No wonder he could coax these 2 idiots from the Ning family, even though they weren't related by blood. The most shameless people were invincible. And sister-in-law's matter this time might be a little tricky. Ningxi raised her eyes and looked at the man next to her. Next, it's my battlefield. The man understood what she meant at a glance and nodded slightly. In the face of everyone's opprobrium, Ningxi seemed to be in her own back garden. She looked calm and composed. She glanced at Ning Xuelua, who was indignantly seeking justice for her mother on the sickbed. She said unhurriedly, I happen to have something here that I want to give to the police. Hearing Ningxi's words, Ning Xuelua narrowed her eyes, but soon recovered her calmness. Sister, if you have something to say, you can say it directly. I think everyone wants to hear your explanation. Oh, explanation? In this case, no matter what she explained, it would only make things worse. I just found something interesting. Ningxi curled her lips with a faint smile and looked a little surprised. I didn't expect that Miss Ning, who has always been a lady, would like to play with such exciting things as motorcycles. When Ning Xueluo heard this, her eyes suddenly tensed up. Ningxi continued, not long ago, I met a famous retired racer. When I was chatting with him, I accidentally heard him mention that Miss Ning had learned motorcycles from him for a long time. When Ning Xueluo heard this, it was as if she had been reminded of something sad. She stroked her flat stomach with a sad face. Pregnant people, whether it's their taste or preferences, will be very strange, and even they can't explain the changes. At that time, I was bored at home, and suddenly saw on TV that riding a motorcycle was very cool, so I casually went to learn about it. I don't know why sister suddenly mentioned this. Ningxi smiled lightly. I see. Regarding Ning Xuelua's explanation, some of the pregnant ladies around nodded in agreement. At the same time, they did not understand why Ningxi suddenly changed the topic to something completely unrelated. Seeing her daughter's sad look, Zhuang Lingyu frowned and glared at Ning Shi unhappily. Ning Shi, don't change the subject and stall for time. Chapter 2089. Ning Shi gently touched the phone in her hand. I'm just a little curious. I didn't expect pregnant people to have such strange hobbies. A gentle and virtuous girl like Miss Ning suddenly likes motorcycles. She even rides a motorbike alone in the middle of the night when she is pregnant. Ning Shuiluo's calm face finally cracked. Her face twitched violently, but only for a moment. She recovered her perfect sad and angry expression. Sister, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just curious, so I asked a professional to see it. How could I ride a motorbike alone and go out in the middle of the night? Ning Shuelua sneered in her heart. Oh, Ning Shi, you want to blow me up? Aren't you thinking too much of me? Seeing that Ning Shi was getting more and more outrageous, Zhuang Lingyu's face darkened. Ning Shi, what on earth do you want to say by talking so much nonsense here? Even if Shuelua rides a motorbike at night, it's not your business. Ning Shi shrugged and said casually, of course it's not my business. After all, it's not my baby that she hit. The moment Ning Shi's voice fell, the whispers in the room suddenly fell into a dead silence, and Zhuang Lingyu's expression completely froze. Sweetheart, please turn off the light for me. Lu Tingxiao stretched out his long hand, and the room suddenly became dark. The next second, Ning Shi gently tapped on the phone in her hand, and a video was suddenly projected on the wide white wall behind them. There was no sound in this video. It was probably at night, so the light was very blurred. The video was still for 3 seconds, and then a black motorbike appeared on the projection. The moment she saw the motorbike, Zhuang Lingyu's pupils suddenly shrank. That car is the car that hit me, is the car that hit me. Although it only happened for a moment when she was hit, she would never forget the appearance of that car. After hearing Zhuang Lingyu's words, everyone was in an uproar and immediately stared at the wall. The scene in the video seemed to be a deserted junkyard. After the owner of the motorcycle got off the motorcycle, he first took off all the clothes he was wearing, including his gloves and helmet. Then he pushed the motorcycle to the ground, picked up the gasoline beside it, lit the lighter in his hand, and threw it at the motorcycle. Bang! Everything disappeared into the flames. At the same time, the rising flames illuminated the face of the owner of the motorcycle. It wasn't a man, but a woman with a delicate appearance. That was Ning Shualuo. The moment they saw the face clearly, everyone at the ward door was stunned. Everyone looked at Ning Shualuo in disbelief. Zhuang Lingyu's mouth was wide open as she stared at the screen. What is going on? How can this person be Shualuo? But that face is definitely Ning Shueluo's. When the fire was lit just now, he could see it clearly. After she took off her outer clothes, I could see her stomach. Impossible. It's impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The moment the familiar scene appeared on the wall, Ning Shueluo's expression changed. In just a few seconds of the video, she felt as if she had walked through hell. When her face was illuminated by the fire, the moment it appeared in front of everyone, she was almost scared out of her wits. Chapter 2090. Ning Shueluo's breathing was like a ball of fire. Her voice was hoarse as she said anxiously, "It's fake. This video is fake. Ning Shi, why did you do this to slander me? Why would I harm my mother's child?" Ning Shi didn't refute her at all. She nodded and said, "Yes, I forged this video. Not only is it fake, but I also forged your fingerprints and blood sample. Miss Ning, do you want to see it?" Ning Shueluo's face went blank. Fingerprints and blood sample. If there were fingerprints and blood sample, she would definitely not be able to explain herself. But that was absolutely impossible. She had destroyed all the traces. Where did she get them? But she had even gotten the surveillance cameras. And she had confirmed that there was absolutely no surveillance cameras in that place. What had gone wrong? Lu Tingxiao. Could it be that Lu Tingxiao had helped her? "Sweetheart, give it to me." Ning Shi turned her head and said softly to Lu Tingxiao. Then she looked condescendingly at the woman on the bed, who was obviously breaking down bit by bit. Her eyes were full of mockery. Lu Tingxiao nodded, and handed her a brown file bag. Ning Xuelua's body trembled violently. In her eyes, the way Ning Shi looked at her was like that of a ghost demanding her life. She stared at the brown file bag in Ning Shi's hand, and her breathing became more and more rapid. Indeed, it was Lu Tingxiao. Just as Ning Shi took the file out of the bag, Ning Xuelua looked at Ning Shi's contemptuous expression, and then at Lu Tingxiao's cold eyes. Finally, the last trace of hope in her heart was gone. She closed her eyes and screamed shrilly. "It's me. I hit her. I hit the child and killed her. So what if I did it?" Her voice was sharp and ear-piercing, making one's eardrums uncomfortable. The entire ward was dead silent. Only Ning Xuelua's ferocious roars could be heard. Her hair was disheveled like a ghost. Zhuang Lingyu's lips trembled, and her eyes rolled back. Ning Yahua hurriedly supported her and pressed down on her philtrum. Only then did she slowly wake up. With a pale face and trembling voice she said, "Xueluo, what are you saying? Don't scare Mom. You were talking nonsense just now, right?" Ning Xuelua's laughter was exceptionally horrifying. "Ha! Ha ha! Mother! Madame Zhuang, when did you become my mother? Aren't you the mother of the son in your belly?" Zhuang Lingyu had never seen such a strange and terrifying expression on Ning Xuelua's face. She said agitatedly, "Xuelua, what are you talking about? Of course I'm your mother. You're telling me you didn't do this. It's not about whether you did the right thing or not." At this moment, the gentleness on Ning Xuelua's face had completely disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by coldness and hatred. It was the madness of a desperate person who had no way out. "It's me. Of course I did it. Because I hate you. I hate everyone in the Ning family. I'm the young mistress of the Ning family. I was born the young mistress of the Ning family. Everything in the Ning family is mine. Why did you bring back that pheasant, Ning Shi? That pheasant finally left. And you guys actually made a son to fight with me for the family property. The child hasn't even been born yet. And you guys can't wait to seize the power in my hands. Why? If it wasn't for me dealing with Su Yan, would your Ning family be where it is today? Now that you have a son, you want to kick me away. Aren't the two of you planning too well? Do you really think I'm an idiot?" Chapter 2091. Zhuang Lingyu was dumbfounded. She couldn't believe it. Ning Yahua was also completely stunned. He couldn't believe that the girl in front of him was Ning Xuelua, the obedient, innocent, and kind daughter in their eyes. He couldn't believe that she had been thinking like this all the time. Oh, God. No one had expected such a shocking turn of events. They were all dumbfounded. Zhuang Lingyu's baby was not killed by Ning Shi, but by the filial and considerate Ning Xuelu. Not only that, she drove the car to hit her mother, who had raised her for decades and loved her as her own daughter. Obviously, she was just the daughter of a village woman. Because she had been mistakenly carried away, she had been able to enjoy so many years of glory and wealth. None of this was hers. Without the Ning family, she was just a village girl in a ravine. But she actually took all of the Ning family's kindness for granted. She even thought that everything in the Ning family should be hers. Just because Zhuang Lingyu was pregnant with a son and might compete with her for the family property, she didn't hesitate to hit Zhuang Lingyu's baby to death. What was more frightening was that she had been acting like a victim from the beginning to the end, and had pushed everything onto Ning Shi. At the thought of this, everyone felt a bone-piercing chill. This woman had deceived everyone. How scheming was she? It was terrible. Ning Yahua was shocked. He was almost speechless by Ning Xuelua's absurd logic. "Bastard! The Ning family has raised you for more than 20 years. They don't ask you to be grateful. How can you be so selfish and vicious?" Ning Xuelua chuckled as if she had heard a funny joke. "Haha, grateful? What do I have to be grateful for? I earned everything I have today with my own ability. And Ning Shi, what does she have? She just has the blood of the Ning family in her. Why did she do nothing? Why did this old man give her 10% of the shares while I didn't get any?" Ning Yahua roared. "But I have given you all my shares. You already have 20% of the shares. Are you still not satisfied?" Ning Xuelua's face was full of mockery. "Chairman Ning, don't make it sound so nice. Didn't you give me the shares so that you can unite with the Su family through marriage? Do you dare to say that these shares will still belong to me after you have a son? So you can kill your mother's child? Ning Yahua's eyes widened in anger. There was no hint of remorse in Ning Shuelua's eyes. Since you're heartless, don't blame me for being cruel. This child, you deserve to die. Ning Shi stood by the side, crossing her arms as she quietly watched the family of three fall out with each other. It was only at this moment that she interrupted. I'm really sorry to interrupt you all. May I ask, Miss Ning, this person was actually really hit by you? Ning Shuelua glared at Ning Shi. Ning Shi, stop putting on an act. Ning Shi said innocently, but I fabricated the video. There was no surveillance camera at the section where you destroyed the body. Don't you know that? I got the special effects artist from the production team of Thunderbolt to help me create this video. It's very crude. I didn't expect you to believe it. Oh, right, there are also fingerprints and blood samples. Ning Shi looked at Lu Tingxiao next to her. Lu Tingxiao opened the brown file and took out a stack of photos of the wedding hall instead of the evidence. Chapter 2092. Ningxi, Ningxi, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Ning Shuelua was stunned for a second, and then she went crazy. She was not even this excited when she saw the evidence just now, but now she seemed to have gone crazy. Ever since Solomon failed repeatedly, she no longer trusted anyone. She was also worried about hiring assassins in the country. If they betrayed her and were bribed by Ning Shi, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, she chose to do it herself this time. After all, it was her first time doing something like this. She was still a little flustered. When she went to get rid of the clothes and the car, she was already flustered. How could she remember the details at that time? Ning Shi's special effects simulation was very realistic. When she saw the familiar scene, she subconsciously believed it. As for the fingerprints and blood sample, if Ning Shi had taken them out herself, she would definitely be suspicious. However, it was Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao had personally handed them to Ning Shi. With Lu Tingxiao's power, even if it was impossible, it was completely possible. Therefore, she believed it almost immediately. She did not expect that. She had fallen into Ning Shi's trap from the beginning to the end. Ning Shi had been lying to her from the beginning to the end. The surveillance was fake, and so were the fingerprints and blood sample. This bitch. Ning Shi looked at Ning Shuelua, who was screaming nonstop, with a helpless expression. I told you that it was fake, but you didn't believe me. Lu Jingli looked at Ning Shuelua, who was almost going crazy with anger. He was amazed. That was too cruel. What a show. A series of reversals. It was like a blockbuster. At the same time, he didn't forget to abuse the dogs. Those wedding church photos were enough. However, all of this was not over yet. However, although those were fake, there is one thing that is real. Ning Shi said as she tapped on her phone with her finger. An A4 paper was projected on the wall. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a paternity test report. The report showed that the child in Ning Shuelua's stomach was not related to Su Yan by blood at all. This is the paternity test report. It seems to be the paternity test report between Shuelua's child and Su Yan. Oh my god! Shuelua's child is not Su Yan's? In that instant, there was an uproar in the ward. Ning Shi's gaze slowly fell on Ning Shui. As the saying goes, even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. What's more, I think Miss Ning is also very clear about how important this child is to you. So, I have always wondered why you did not hesitate to kill your own child to frame me. Ning Shi paused and continued. I've thought about it, and I can only think of one possibility. That is, we can't keep this child. So what is the reason that this child cannot be kept? This is worth pondering. Miss Ning, don't you think so? Although it was only a short 2 days, she had done a lot of things. He sent someone to check the surveillance cameras at the section of the road where Zhuang Lingyu was hit, tracked the direction of the motorcycle, and investigated Ning Shuelua's whereabouts in the past few months. Then, she personally visited the racer and went to look for the special effects artist for Thunderbolt, asking for his help. In addition, he had someone secretly obtain Su Yan's hair and the blood sample of the stillborn fetus for identification. The results of the DNA test had only been sent to her mailbox half an hour ago. Everything was as she had expected. Ning Xuelua's child was not Su Yan's. Chapter 2093. Hearing Ningxi's words, how could everyone not understand? The child in Ning Xuelua's belly isn't Su Yan's. No wonder. Otherwise, how could he do this to his own flesh and blood? If the child was born, she would be finished once it was discovered. She killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only did she get rid of the child, but she also framed Ningxi. Su Yan was actually going to divorce her. She didn't get divorced because of the child. Who knew that the child would turn out to be? Oh my God. This woman said that she loved Su Yan to death, but she came back with a bastard. Zheng Minjun, who was staring at the projection in shock, rushed to Ningxi from the crowd and tried to snatch her phone. What did you say? The child in Xuelua's belly isn't Su Yan's. How is that possible? Ning Qiutong said impatiently. The child hasn't been cremated yet. If you don't believe me, you can do a DNA test yourself. Ning Xuelua's character had been completely exposed. Zheng Minjun didn't believe her. She was stunned and immediately attacked Ning Xuelua. You indecent woman. I was wondering why you were so eager to cremate the child. You even said that it would allow the child to reincarnate into a good family as soon as possible. So it turns out that you were thinking of destroying the corpses. Her daughter-in-law had made her son a cuckold and was pregnant with a bastard. Zheng Minjun was about to go crazy with anger when this was exposed in front of so many people. Zheng Minjun, don't make it sound like the Su family is so noble. If it weren't for you 2 old farts who urged Su Yan to divorce me and wanted him to marry Ningxi so that he could curry favor with the Zhuang family, I wouldn't have been forced into this situation. Since they had already fallen out, Ning Xuelua retaliated. However, she was still physically weak after the miscarriage. Soon Zheng Minjun scratched her face. Su Hongguang couldn't take it anymore. He pulled Zheng Minjun back and roared. Enough! Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? He had lost enough of his face today. Zheng Minjun's face instantly darkened. I'm embarrassed. How am I embarrassed? The good daughter raised by Ning Yahua and Zhuang Lingyu. She's vicious and dissolute. You've brought disaster to our Su family. If they lose face, it's the Ning family that loses face. You! Ning Yahua was already furious. Now that he was ridiculed by Zheng Minjun, he almost fainted from anger. As for Zhuang Lingyu, she was already in a trance. She kept muttering impossible, impossible. The 2 families quarreled fiercely, and the entire ward was in chaos. Ning Qiutong glanced at Ning Yahua and Zhuang Lingyu pitifully. I've told you to take a good look at what you've been raising all these years. But you were blinded by lard and were fooled by this woman. Now you've reaped what you sow. It's a sin to harm an innocent child. Zhuang Lingyu was agitated when she heard the word child. She lunged at Ning Xuelua. You bitch. Bitch. Why do you have to harm me like this? Why do you have to harm me like this? Give me back my child. Give me back my son's life. Looking at the chaos, Lu Tingxiao frowned slightly. He reached out and gently pulled Ningxi into his arms, so that she could not see the dirty scenes. Ningxi breathed in the cool air, and the deep exhaustion in her heart dissipated. It was as if she had arrived at another peaceful and warm world. She said softly, Sweetheart, let's go home? Lu Tingxiao said, Okay. Xiao. Xiaoxi. Seeing Ningxi and Lu Tingxiao turn to leave together, Ning Yahua subconsciously chased after them, as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, he could not say a word. Chapter 2094. Zhuang Lingyu had planned to take this opportunity to seek justice for Ning Xuelua, and then completely remove Ningxi from the family. That was why she called so many relatives here. However, she didn't expect that the truth of the matter would make her fall apart. Now that things had become like this, those relatives and friends couldn't continue to stay here and watch the drama. They all found excuses to leave. Mr. Su was physically and mentally exhausted. He didn't want to care about his eldest son's grudge anymore. He walked away shakily with the help of his servants. Back then, he had already advised them and said all that he needed to say. All the choices were made by themselves. Now, however they wanted to resolve it, He just let them be. He really didn't have the energy to care about it anymore. For a moment, only Ning Yaohua, Zhuang Lingyu, Zheng Minjun, Su Hongguang, Su Yan, and Ning Xuelua were left in the ward. Zheng Minjun couldn't bear the fact that the son she was most proud of was cuckolded. The precious grandson she had been looking forward to turned out to be a bastard. After those people left, she didn't care anymore. She pointed at Ning Xuelua's nose and began to scold her. Our Su family is blind. How could we let Su Yan marry a fake bitch like you? I don't know which man you slept with outside. How dare you say you are Su Yan's? Divorce. Get out of the Su family now. And don't even think about taking away a needle or a thread of our Su family. Ning Xuelua couldn't help laughing. Haha, do you really think Ningxi is so pure? She was knocked up by a man at the age of 18, and she said she is Su Yan's son. I'm much better than her. If Zheng Minjun hadn't been trying to persuade Su Yan to marry another woman after knowing the relationship between Ningxi and the Zhuang family at Mrs. Li's party, she wouldn't have slept with those disgusting fat rich businessmen in order to get investments and stabilize her position. If Su Yan hadn't been seduced by that bitch and didn't want to have a child with her, she wouldn't have taken the risk of keeping the bastard in her belly. It was all that bitch's fault. It was the Su family's fault. Zheng Minjun was stunned when she heard what Ning Xuelua said. What did you say? I say, Ningxi, that bitch, fooled around with 2 male prostitutes when she was still with Su Yan. When she got pregnant, she said he was Su Yan's son. If it weren't for that car accident, she would have given birth to this bastard. After saying that, he looked in the direction of Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu with a face full of mockery, his face full of satisfaction from revenge. Ha ha ha. You don't believe me? If you don't believe me, you can ask Chairman Ning or Madam Ning. Aren't their own daughters even more shameless, slutty and slutty? Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu's faces turned pale when Ning Xuelu revealed the Ning family's biggest scandal in front of the Su family. Back then, they had erased all traces of this incident, but they could not erase its existence. This matter was like a nightmare to them. At this moment, a man's trembling voice suddenly came from the corner of the ward. Enough! The smile on Ning Xuelua's face froze when she heard the voice. It's not Xiaoxi. What happened back then was not Xiaoxi's fault at all. Su Yan clenched his fists, his face full of embarrassment, and said with difficulty, Xiaoxi never betrayed me. She never fooled around with a man. She didn't. She was forced. She was framed. Chapter 2095. What did you say? Zhuang Lingyu, who had been in a trance, suddenly froze. Ning Yaohua's face also changed. Su Yan, what did you just say? Xiaoxi was set up. Ning Xuelua stared at Su Yan, who spoke up for Ningxi. Her eyes were filled with overwhelming hatred. Su Yan, even you are against me now, aren't you? Ning Xuelua chuckled. She looked completely fearless. That's right. I was the one who set her up. I was the one who drugged that bitch's drink. I was the one who prepared 2 male prostitutes for her. So what? She's just a slut who got pregnant after being played by 2 male prostitutes, ha ha ha. Ning Xuelua, what did you say? I dare you to say it again. You drugged Xiaoxi. You sent someone to do that to her. Ning Yaohua couldn't believe his ears. At this moment his body was trembling violently. Even when he knew that Ning Xuelua had killed Zhuang Lingyu's child, and that Ning Xuelua had an affair, he had never been so angry. His daughter did not go out on her own but was raped. Ning Xuelua covered her stomach, which was aching from laughing too hard. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. Ning Shi, that country bumpkin, can't even tell the difference between real and fake clothes. She obediently wears whatever I give her. I lied to her that the lemonade I used to wash her hands was for her to drink, but she stupidly drank it. That idiot. I'm afraid she doesn't even know what a male prostitute is. How could she give herself a male prostitute? Of course, the 2 of you are even more stupid. You actually believed her, ha ha ha. Ning Xuelua's words mixed with sharp and harsh laughter echoed in the silent ward. Zhuang Lingyu opened her mouth, as if she was dumbfounded, but could not say a word. This was not true. None of this was true. What on earth had she raised all these years? What did she do to her own daughter for a beast? It was not Ningxi who killed her 2 children. But Ning Xuelua. It was Ning Xuelua who killed her 2 children. She had harmed her son and her daughter. Ning Yahua stared at this extremely unfamiliar woman in front of him, who was like a poisonous snake, and listened to everything she had done to his own flesh and blood. Every word she said was like a death by 1,000 cuts to his body. He charged at Su Yan furiously. Su Yan. Speak. Tell me what's going on. You know everything, don't you? Su Yan lowered his head in pain. I'm sorry. It's my fault. When I was in poor health, I stayed in the countryside to recuperate. Cici and I had known each other when we were in the countryside. Before I met Xueluo, Cici and I had been dating. I betrayed Cici and did something to Xueluo. At that time, my heart was on Xueluo. When I found out what Xueluo had done to Xiaoxi, I thought she was young and muddle-headed. I thought she really regretted it, so I helped her keep this secret. I lied to Xiaoxi and said that it was me that night. Xiaoxi didn't keep the child on purpose. She did it because she thought the child was mine. She had been waiting for me to come back, to give her a status. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Xiaoxi. I ruined her life. After hearing all this, Ning Yahua's body trembled violently, and his eyes were scarlet. Bastards. You 2 bastards. How could they do this to his daughter? His own flesh and blood. In his mind, he recalled the time in the hospital, the girl's desperate explanation after the car accident and her miscarriage. He recalled how he scolded and scolded her. He recalled how he had heartlessly sent her abroad for 5 years and didn't care about her at all. Recalled the cold look in Xiaoxi's eyes every time she looked at him after returning home. Recalled the words, "Father, do you deserve it?" He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve to be her father at all. He pushed his daughter into the abyss with his own hands. Chapter 2096. Zheng Minjun and Su Hongguang didn't expect there to be such an inside story. Both of them felt a chill in their hearts. How vicious was this woman? How could she do such a heinous thing at such a young age? Oh my God. What kind of scourge did our Su family marry? Su Yan, how could you be so muddle-headed? How could you get together with such a woman? Zheng Minjun cried. Su Yan smiled bitterly. You were the ones who forced me to separate from Xiaoxi. You were also the ones who set me up with Xueluo. Zheng Minjun couldn't say a word. There was no point in regretting now. In short, she had to get a divorce. She had to get a divorce. She couldn't stand this viper-like woman staying in the Su family for another second. Ning Yahua's face was filled with rage. Bastard. I want you to die a horrible death. Ha ha ha. I want to see how Director Ning. You're an empty shell with no shares in the company. How are you going to make me die a horrible death? Ning Yahua's pupils constricted, his eyes filled with malice. You. As soon as Ning Xuelua finished speaking, she looked at Zheng Minjun and Su Hongguang with a strange smile. Oh, and you guys. You want me to divorce Su Yan? Well, I don't mind showing the judge something even more interesting during the trial. For example, evidence of Yifeng Group's bribery? How dare you? Su Hongguang's expression changed. He never expected Ning Xuelua to have something like that. Zheng Minjun was completely dumbfounded, her face pale. I'm telling you, you want me to get a divorce? Not in this lifetime. Unless I die. The position of Mrs. Su can only be mine, Ning Xuelua's. The woman's fierce voice coiled around everyone in the room like a viper. All these years, the kind and innocent daughter they doted on, the smart and capable daughter-in-law they were so proud of, was a demon in human skin. Inside the black Maybach, Lu Jingli chattered excitedly the whole way. Sister-in-law, you're so awesome. You made my blood boil. Your acting was amazing. I was fooled by you. I thought all the evidence was real. Also, did you collude with my brother from the start? In the back seat, Ningxi snuggled lazily in Lu Tingxiao's arms and raised her eyebrows. Do I need to collude with my sweetheart? We have a telepathic connection. Am I right, sweetheart? Lu Tingxiao's lips curved into a smile. Yes, Lu Jingli. Pretend I didn't ask. Ningxi recalled what happened just now and analyzed. Actually, it was a psychological battle. With the special effects video and my acting skills, I was 70% sure that I could fool Ning Xueluo. But when my sweetheart came, I knew that I would win. Ning Xueluo did not believe that she had the ability to do so, but she definitely believed in Lu Tingxiao. Therefore, she would definitely be fooled. Tears welled up in Lu Jingli's eyes as he was stuffed with another mouthful of dog food. Sigh, the Ning family and Ning Xueluo are going to fight it out. After all, Ning Xueluo still has a lot of shares in the Ning family. Lu Jingli said. Ning, she said indifferently. Do you think Ning Yahua is a good person? Lu Jingli blinked. That's true. Ning Xueluo was so arrogant before because she relied on the power of the Ning and Su families. Now that she has fallen out with both sides, she still naively thinks that she can make a comeback? Chapter 2097. In just a few days, the entire Ning Enterprises was in a precarious situation. Ning Xueluo pushed aside the senior members of the company and cultivated her own power. She even publicly announced at the shareholders' meeting that she would remove Ning Yahua from the position of chairman. However, what happened next was just as Ning Shi had expected. Ning Yahua was not a kind person. Ning Yahua valued his reputation and the reputation of the Ning family the most. No one expected him to be so cruel this time. He did not hesitate to go all out and expose the scandal of Ning Xueluo deliberately killing Zhuang Lingyu's unborn child in front of the public. The shareholders' meeting overwhelmingly removed Ning Xueluo from her position. According to the relevant regulations, the company had the right to forcefully recover her shares at the original price. At the same time, Ning Qiutong was invited back as the new president of the company. After this incident, Ning Xueluo was completely kicked out of the company, and the shares of Ning Enterprises also plummeted. In order to avoid prison, Ning Xueluo made a deal with Ning Yahua and was forced to give up all her shares without a penny. In other words, she was kicked out of the company without a penny. After the shareholders' meeting, Ning Xueluo hurriedly left the building of Ning Enterprises. It took her a lot of effort to avoid the hungry media and return to the Su family. In the living room, Zheng Minjun was watching TV. The TV was broadcasting the news that Ning Xueluo had killed her pregnant adoptive mother and her unborn child in order to seize power, and was kicked out of the board of directors of Ning Enterprises. Zheng Minjun heard the footsteps at the door and looked at Ning Xueluo, who looked like a stray dog. She suddenly sneered and gloated. You're just a dog who has been proud for a few years because of the relationship between the Ning family and the Su family. Do you really think you're so important? This damn little bitch was kicked out of Ning Enterprises. She didn't have a penny of stock in her hands. Her reputation was so bad that she was despised by the whole circle. How could she shamelessly occupy the position of the Su family's young mistress? At the thought of such a person staying in the Su family, and thinking that she would not be able to meet people in the circle of madams in the future, she wanted to strangle this little bitch. Ning Xueluo acted as if she did not hear Zheng Minjun's words. She looked around and said coldly, Where's Su Yan? Why do you care about Su Yan? Just take care of yourself. Which man would be willing to stay at home and see your face that can give people nightmares? Zheng Minjun snapped. Ning Xueluo did not say anything. She slammed the door and drove to one of Su Yan's properties in the capital. She knew that Su Yan still had a house outside. In the past, when he didn't go home, he always stayed outside. Just as he was about to press the doorbell, he realized that the door was only ajar. Ning Xueluo pushed the door open in her high heels. Halfway there, Ning Xueluo's expression suddenly changed. From the direction of the bedroom came the faint sound of a woman moaning. Ah, that's great. Big brother Yan. You're amazing. Faster. Faster. The expression on Ning Xueluo's face changed from green to white. She quickly rushed to the door and pushed it open. Inside the room, two naked bodies were intertwined together. Su Yan, who hadn't touched her for a long time, and had even flown into a rage at her after discovering that she had used the aphrodisiac, was currently lying on top of another woman's body, madly having sex with that woman. Ah! Vice President Ning, The woman was so shocked that she peeked her delicate little face out. The moment she saw that face, Ning Xueluo's body trembled. Her face was filled with disbelief. Han Zixuan. Chapter 2098. The scene in front of her made Ning Xueluo's head spin. Her chest felt like it was filled with glass shards. She rushed over, grabbed Han Zixuan's hair, and dragged her out from behind Su Yan. "Bitch! How dare you seduce my man?" "Ah!" Han Zixuan screamed like a pig being slaughtered, but she quickly turned around and tore her hair away. She screamed, "Why wouldn't I dare? Vice President Ning, I respectfully address you as Deputy General Manager. Do you really think that you are still the Deputy General Manager of Starlight Entertainment? Bitch! So what if I'm a bitch? You're worse than a bitch." Ning Xueluo was mad. "Bitch! What did you say? I'll tear your mouth apart." Han Zixuan didn't care that she was still naked. Instead, she proudly puffed out her chest that was full of ambiguous marks. "Huh? What did I say? You dared to do it yourself. So why are you afraid of others talking about it? Everyone in the circle knows about your dirty deeds. Not only did you frame your adoptive mother's son to seize power, but you also cheated on Su Yan and gave him a bastard. Even a bitch is cleaner than you." There were many people in the hospital that day. They didn't dare to talk about what happened between Ning Shi and Lu Tingxiao. But the Ning family, the Su family, and Ning Xueluo's dirty deeds had been spread all over the circle. Su Yan's cuckold was comparable to the Siberian prairie. Ning Xueluo had never expected that one day, she would be humiliated by a bitch who would be considered dirty even if she sold herself. And this bitch had even climbed into her husband's bed. Ning Xueluo stared at the silent man on the bed. "Su Yan, are you crazy? How could you sleep with such a woman? Do you know how many men she has slept with?" Han Zixuan stuck to Su Yan provocatively and rubbed her plump breasts against the man's arm. "So what if I've slept with many men? I'm skilled, and Brother Yin likes me." "You." Ning Xueluo probably hadn't expected that Han Zixuan would be so shameless. She almost fainted from anger and screamed as she pounced on Han Zixuan. The two of them immediately fought each other. "Ah, Big Brother Yin, save me," Han Zixuan pleaded. "Ning Xueluo, that's enough." Slap. Su Yan pushed Ning Xueluo away. Ning Xueluo was pushed to the ground. She looked at the person in front of her in disbelief. She was about to say Brother Yin, but because Han Zixuan had also called him that just now, she was so disgusted that she couldn't say it. "Su Yan, you actually yelled at me because of this bitch. How could you do this to me? Are you insulting me? Or are you insulting yourself? Was it because this woman looked a bit like Ning Shi? Just because of this, he was even willing to sleep with this kind of slut. But he wasn't willing to touch her?" Ning Xueluo was burning with jealousy. Su Yan casually put on a pair of pajamas. His eyes were cloudy, and the bottom of his eyes was greenish-gray. His usually gentle face was now filled with disgust and impatience. "Ning Xueluo, I can give you the position of Mrs. Su that you want, but that's all. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other." Nothing to do with each other. Ning Xueluo bit her lip so hard that it almost bled. Chapter 2099. She loved him so much that she didn't want to leave him even if she was a disgusting cockroach. But now, he wanted her to be a widow. "Su Yan. Hello. Hello." Ning Xueluo got up and stumbled out of the car. Unexpectedly, before she could reach the parking lot, a large group of reporters suddenly rushed out of nowhere and surrounded her in an instant. "Miss Ning Xueluo, you're ungrateful and killed your foster mother's child. What do you have to say about this? Miss Ning, who is the biological father of the child in your stomach? Rumor has it that it's President Wang from Starlight Entertainment. Is that true? Even if the child in your stomach isn't Su Yan's, it's still your biological child. Don't you feel guilty for killing your own child? I heard that you wanted to frame Ning Shi for the deaths of your two children. Did you frame Ning Shi again and again because of your inferiority complex and jealousy? Go away. Go away. I won't accept any interviews. Ning Shualua wanted to squeeze out of the crowd, but she was surrounded by the reporters and emotional fans. She couldn't take even half a step. Ah! Someone threw a rotten egg at her, and the liquid instantly stuck to her hair and face. Then more eggs, mineral water bottles and rotten vegetables were thrown at her. At the Liu family mansion, Yin Rui was furious. Your parents are outrageous. How can they be so muddle-headed? Ningxi said nonchalantly, Mom, it's fine. It's all in the past. Yin Rui took Ningxi's hand, feeling sorry for her. Girl, you're too naive. Just tell the Zhuang family. If it's inconvenient for the Zhuang family, you can mention our Liu family. If anyone dares to touch you, you'll suffer. With that, Yin Rui looked a little nervous and said tentatively, Ahem, Xiaoxi, Tingxiao's birthday is coming soon. As the lady of the Liu family, you must attend it. Although they had gotten along well with Ningxi, they were still worried that Ningxi would hate the Liu family and not want to appear as the Liu family's mistress. Of course, Ningxi didn't think too much about it. With her current status in the entertainment industry, it didn't matter even if she made it public. It was just a matter of time and opportunity. So Ningxi answered, Okay, Mom, I'll prepare in advance. Good, good, good. That's good. Yin Rui finally heaved a sigh of relief. You just go about your business. You don't have to prepare anything. We'll arrange the banquet. You just have to dress up nicely and show up. While Ningxi was talking to Yin Rui, a loud wail suddenly came from the small garden. Judging from the sound, it seemed to be little fatty Qi Shuai. In the past, Qi Shuai and Xiaobao got to know each other through fighting. Later on, this little guy liked to follow behind Xiaobao and pester him to teach him kung fu. The little guy was lively and energetic, which complemented the quiet Xiaobao very well. The two of them got along well. Ah, Grandma Yen. Master hit me. At this moment, the little fatty covered one of his bruised eyes and ran over while crying. What's going on? Why would Xiaobao hit you all of a sudden? Yin Rui was shocked. Ningxi was also surprised to see little Bun's bruised eye. Xiaobao definitely wasn't a child who would hit people for no reason. Chapter 2100. Seeing Xiaobao standing at the door, Ningxi waved at him. Xiaobao, come here. Xiaobao pursed his lips, squeezed his hands by his side, and then slowly walked up to Ningxi. Ningxi rubbed the little Bun's head. What's wrong, baby? Why did you hit Qi Shuai? Did Qi Shuai do something wrong? Qi Shuai almost burst into tears. Auntie, I didn't. Auntie praised you. But Master suddenly hit me. Ningxi was even more puzzled by Qi Shuai's words. You praised me? Haha. Little fatty Qi. How did you praise her? Lu Jingli's laughter came from behind. Qi Shuai glared at Lu Jingli. Don't call me little fatty Qi. I really praised Auntie. I praised her for being beautiful. Lu Jingli glanced at Xiaobao, then at Qi Shuai again. Oh, what were your exact words? Qi Shuai rolled his eyes. I said to Master, your stepmother is really beautiful. Yes, that's what I said. Pfft. Lu Jingli sighed and shook his head. Little fatty Qi, you deserve to be beaten. Who told you to hurt my heart? Qi Shuai was still confused, and Yin Rui coaxed him with snacks. Ningxi seemed to realize something, and pulled Xiaobao to a corner. Why did you hit Qi Shuai? Can you tell Mommy? Xiaobao threw himself into Ningxi's arms. Mommy, I'm here. Mommy, she's not a stepmother. It's Mommy. The little boy's clear eyes were full of stubbornness. Ningxi felt as if her heart was being gnawed by aphids, and waves of pain came over her. She gently patted the little boy's back and said in an unusually gentle voice, it's Mommy. In the study, Lu Jingli ran to Lu Tingxiao and told him what had happened just now. Hey, Fatty Qi said the wrong thing. He said stepmother and hurt Xiaobao's feelings. Xiaobao punched him, and now he is running to Ningxi for comfort. It seems that Xiaobao still cares about this matter very much. I think the little guy seems to be in a bad mood these days. But there's no other way. When Ningxi's identity is revealed, there will be more such things. In the eyes of others, Ningxi is Xiaobao's stepmother. When Lu Tingxiao heard this, he lifted his head from the pile of documents and looked a little startled. A moment later, Lu Tingxiao asked in a hoarse voice, "How's the investigation going?" Lu Jingli's expression turned solemn. "Brother, you're right. The surveillance cameras were indeed tampered with. I was wondering how it was possible that there were no traces left behind. I was going crazy from the investigation. It turns out that the person had secretly cut out the few minutes in between. I've already found a team of experts to fix it. It shouldn't be a big problem. It's just a matter of time." "Okay." Lu Jingli hesitated for a moment and then asked, "Then, brother, are you going to tell sister-in-law the truth after we find out what happened to Xiaobao? Xiaobao's identity and that person, it's you." After a long while, Lu Tingxiao nodded imperceptibly. Time flew by. Soon, it was Lu Tingxiao's birthday. The birthday party was arranged at the top private club in the capital, Tianquan Villa. It had been prepared for several months. Chapter 2101. The guests who came from afar stayed in the villa. The next day, the whole banquet was held in the open air on the wide lawn behind the villa. There was a dance floor, a small band, a big LED screen, and all kinds of delicious food and wine. Nearby, there were entertainment facilities such as a racecourse, a swimming pool, and a golf course for the guests to relax. There were not many guests present, but each of them was from the top rich and powerful families, including some famous foreign families. Ningxi had arrived early, wondering if there was anything she could do to help. However, Yan Rui didn't allow her to do anything for fear that she would be worried and tired. Meng Linlang had always been worried that Ningxi wouldn't be able to handle the chores of the Lu family. In the end, Ningxi didn't encounter anything. Not only did Yan Rui never make any requests of her, she always told her that she was the young mistress of the Lu family, and that she should be doted on and pampered after marrying into the family. Those chores should be done by the servants. Otherwise, what was the point of raising them? Ningxi became the most leisurely one. Holding a glass of juice, she found a quiet place to sit and wait for the banquet to officially start. The place where Ningxi was staying was near a shooting range, leisurely watching a group of young masters and ladies playing shooting not far away. "Xiaoxi, you are here too. Where is Aunt Lin?" Not far away, a person suddenly came towards her. His tone sounded a little surprised and enthusiastic, but it was not abrupt but just right. Today, it was rare for Ningxi to be so high profile that she wore a long red dress, which made her look incomparably bright. Wherever she sat, even if there was nothing, there was a scene that people couldn't take their eyes off. Even Li Mayan, who was calm, couldn't hide the amazement in his eyes at this moment. "Mr. Li." Seeing him, Ningxi greeted him politely and then replied, "Aunt hasn't come yet, so I came first." "Well, do you want to go and play with us?" Li Mayan invited her. "Brother Mayan." At this time, an abrupt female voice interrupted their conversation. A sweet mixed-race girl in a yellow gown quickly ran over, held Li Mayan's arm possessively, and looked at Ningxi vigilantly. "Is it you who charmed Brother Mayan and made him ignore me?" Hearing this, Li Mayan frowned and looked a little unhappy. "Lisa, don't talk nonsense. This is, I know, superstar Ningxi. Who didn't know him? Brother Mayan, I thought you had high standards. Did you fall for this kind of woman who only looks good?" The girl looked unconvinced. "Alyssa, Xiaoxi is my friend," Li Mayan emphasized, seeming to be really angry. The girl called Eliza curled her lips and didn't speak, but it seemed that she still didn't want to give up. "Ningxi, let's have a competition. I heard from your fans that you are good at shooting. You shot all the shooting scenes in the movie The Killer. Do you want to have a competition with me? 10 bullets for the total score. It belongs to whoever wins, Brother Mayan." Li Mayan looked embarrassed. He walked to Ningxi and explained in a low voice, "Xiaoxi, I'm sorry. Lisa has been spoiled by her family since she was a child. She's a little willful, and has been educated abroad since she was a child, so she's quite straightforward. In fact, she's not a bad person. Not far away. Lu Jingli was setting up the venue when he caught a glimpse of the scene, not far away from him. His gossipy heart was immediately ignited, and he immediately made a video call to Lu Tingxiao. Chapter 2102. Aw, brother, guess what I saw? There's actually a love rival who dares to come and mess with you on such an occasion. And it's the son of Minister Li. Ha ha ha, brother, your love rival can actually level up. Each level is higher than the previous one. At that time, Lu Tingxiao was still busy in the company. After receiving Lu Jingli's call, he took a look at the video on his phone and couldn't take his eyes off it. His girl was too beautiful today. Brother, did you hear what I said? Lu Jingli looked at his brother's expression in the video and was immediately humiliated. Fuck. I know your wife is so beautiful today, but can you please move your eyes away a little and look to the side? Have a sense of crisis, okay? Someone is going to steal your wife again. He didn't even have the heart to say the word again. On the other hand, Ningxi didn't say anything in response to Li Mayan's apologetic explanation. It's fine. Alyssa saw Li Mayan whispering to Ningxi and got even angrier. Hey, are you going to compete or not? I hate being so wishy-washy and snatching. Let's decide the winner and the loser will quit. Or what do you want to compete in? Camellia tea art, horse riding or swimming? You decide. Li Mayan didn't expect that Eliza would bump into Ningxi today, and even say so many inappropriate words. At this moment, he was filled with anxiety, worried that it would affect the image he had painstakingly built in front of Ningxi for so long. However, he was actually secretly looking forward to whether Ningxi would mind. So with his ability, he could have easily resolved this conflict. However, he didn't stop Alyssa. Instead, he wanted to see her reaction. Miss Alyssa, you seem to have misunderstood something. Mr. Li and I are just friends and I'm married. Ningxi didn't want to cause any misunderstandings, so she made it clear. Alyssa laughed. Everyone knew that Ningxi was single. How could she be married? As a top artist, her every move was watched by countless eyes. If she was really married, it wouldn't be a secret for long. Alyssa said, What? You're afraid of losing face, so you're saying this on purpose? Fine, I'll take it that you're married. Being married doesn't mean that you're not thinking about Brother Mayan. If you're not guilty, then compete with me. If I lose, I won't care about you and Brother Mayan anymore. Ningxi gently turned the cup in her hand and glanced at Li Mayan, but Li Mayan had no intention of persuading Eliza. At this time, more and more people were watching. After waiting for a while, seeing that Li Mayan still had no intention of speaking, Ningxi said, Okay, let's shoot. Hearing this, Li Mayan's pupils suddenly contracted, as if he did not expect Ningxi to really agree. As for Ningxi saying that she was already married, he subconsciously thought that she was using it as an excuse to avoid conflict with Alyssa. Eliza only knew that Ningxi was good at shooting, but he didn't know that Ningxi was General Zhuang's granddaughter. He had heard from Meng Linlang more than once that Ningxi's shooting skills were superb, even better than Zhuang Rongguang's. Fuck me, sister-in-law agreed. Lu Jingli was still doing a live broadcast for his brother. Chapter 2103. Lu Tingxiao sounded a little displeased. The camera? Huh. What's wrong with the camera? Lu Tingxiao said. It's crooked. Lu Jingli said. Okay, I was wrong. I'll point the camera at your wife now. Lu Jingli complained as he said. Why aren't you worried at all? Your wife is so good at shooting. She even killed Guan Xiao in seconds. Although I really want to see Cici win and slap those people in the face. But if she wins, won't she be fighting for Li Mayan? I'm so conflicted. At this moment, the young masters and ladies who were playing shooting around the shooting range all gathered around and watched with interest as the two women fought for a man. Meng Linlang had brought Ningxi around the circle of the madams, wanting her to learn how to be the mistress of the family. Therefore, Only a few people in the circle of madams knew about the relationship between Ningxi and the Zhuang family. Among these young masters and ladies, except for Li Mayan, they only knew that Ningxi was the hottest star in Hualand. In the upper class, some artists would be invited to liven up the atmosphere at occasions like this. As the most popular artist in Shengshe Entertainment, a subsidiary of Lu Enterprises, it was not surprising that Ningxi was invited. But they didn't expect such a thing to happen today. Ningxi and Li Mayan, even with Ningxi's status in the entertainment industry and her identity as Boss Ling, she was still overestimating herself if she wanted to get close to Li Mayan. Alyssa's shooting skills are very good. Otherwise, she wouldn't have dared to propose this competition. She has used this trick to drive away several rivals in love. Compared to the others, no one is a match for her. Eliza is proficient in everything. How can an actress be a match for a real noble lady like Alyssa? Alyssa's mother is a real royal descendant of country F. Li Mayan listened to the surrounding people's evaluation of Eliza, but his heart did not waver in the slightest. He had seen too many young ladies like Eliza, who had been taught by the elites of an assembly line since young. They had flashy skills, but their souls were boring to the extreme. Thinking of this, Li Mayan looked at Ningxi. Thinking that she would actually fight for him, he unconsciously clenched his fists by his side. For the past few months, he had been very careful and had not broken through that layer of paper. She was the only one he had no confidence in. However, he did not expect that after Eliza's disturbance today, he would actually reap such an unexpected reward. While countless thoughts flashed through Li Mayan's mind, the duel between the two had already begun. Everyone turned to look at the two of them. The process of the competition was that each person would fire one shot, until 10 shots were fired. Then, the total score would be tabulated. The first shot, Alyssa 97 points, Ningxi 96 points. The second shot, Alyssa 96 points, Ningxi 95 points. The third shot, Alyssa 98 points, Ningxi 97 points. After 3 consecutive shots, Ningxi fell behind Eliza. The surrounding people all had an as expected expression on their faces. Li Mayan, on the other hand, unconsciously stiffened his back. Ningxi was a newbie, so her condition was not good, right? But it was still early. There were still 7 more shots. The competition continued. The fourth shot, Eliza 92 points, Ningxi 91 points. The fifth shot, Eliza 89 points, Ningxi 88 points. The sixth shot, Alyssa 94 points, Ningxi 93 points. Looking at this number, everyone was dumbfounded. Chapter 2104. If no one felt that something was wrong at the start, then, by the sixth shot, everyone's eyes were filled with suspicion. Wasn't it too much of a coincidence? Ningxi was lower than Alyssa by 0.1 points every time? The seventh shot, Eliza's mental state was probably affected, so she only scored 34 points. Ningxi followed up with another shot, 33 points. Everyone's expression. Were they hallucinating? Why did it feel like Ningxi was losing on purpose? It must be an illusion. It was more difficult to score 0.1 points every time than to score 10 points every time. Next, the eighth shot. Alyssa 98 points, Ningxi 97 points the ninth shot. Alyssa 55 points, Ningxi 54 points the 10th shot. Alyssa obviously made a mistake and only scored 1 point, almost missing the target. Ningxi, on the other hand, missed the target directly 0 points. On the 10th shot, everyone watched helplessly as Ningxi deliberately missed a shot in the air. Everyone. If they still couldn't tell that Ningxi was losing on purpose, then they must be blind. Ningxi put the safety on the gun and casually tossed it to the waiter beside her. She looked up at Eliza indifferently and said, "I lost." With that, the woman in red dress left gracefully. You did it on purpose." Alyssa's face was flushed with anger. Li Mayan stood there in a daze. It was as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head, extinguishing all his excitement. Lu Jingli, who was doing the live broadcast, was so shocked that his eyeballs almost fell out. Fuck. Sister-in-law's skill in picking peach blossoms has reached the pinnacle. She clearly lost, but she slapped that Alyssa's face until it's swollen. I'll be there soon. Lu Tingxiao hung up the phone. He didn't want to wait a moment longer. He wanted to see her. As the night deepened, almost all the guests had arrived. The atmosphere was getting more and more enthusiastic. The lawn was lit up like stars in the sky, giving off a dreamy feeling. Wow, it's so beautiful. In the past, Lu Tingxiao's birthday banquets were always held in hotels. It's boring and boring. I didn't expect it to be so romantic this time. I think it's for Mrs. Lu. One of the girls looked envious. I heard that Mrs. Lu will be appearing tonight as well. Is that true? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Is Lu Tingxiao really married? I don't want to believe it either. But the news is accurate, so there shouldn't be any mistake. In fact, there have been rumors since a long time ago. It's just that the Lus have been keeping too low of a profile. Even now, no one knows who Mrs. Lu is. I just went to check on Lu Jingli, and he personally said that his sister-in-law will be coming tonight. Oh my God. Looks like I'm going to break up. It's not just you. Do you know how many women have fallen out of love? I don't know which woman is so lucky. I should say, I don't know which woman is so powerful to be able to soften a man like Lu Tingxiao. I've long heard that Lu Tingxiao spoils that woman to the heavens. Eliza had just been embarrassed and was still sulking. Ignoring Li Mayan's obstruction, she angrily walked up to Ningxi and began to question her. Ningxi, what did you mean just now? Are you trying to humiliate me and Brother Mayan? Hearing this, Ningxi raised her eyebrows with a puzzled expression. Humiliate? The one who won is you, Miss Lisa. Where did the word humiliation come from? Chapter 2105. This time, it was Lisa who provoked him first. Besides, if Li Mayan had smoothed things over just now, she wouldn't have been in a dilemma. She had been very busy during that period of time, and all her attention had been on Lu Tingxiao. Li Mayan had never acted out of line, so she hadn't noticed Li Mayan's strange behavior, and only treated him as her aunt's best friend's son. It wasn't until just now, when she saw the way Li Mayan looked at her, that she realized something was wrong. And Eliza's attitude and actions confirmed her guess. If Li Mayan had smoothed things over just now, she wouldn't have done this. She would have found a chance to make things clear with Li Mayan in private. However, Li Mayan chose to stand by and watch Eliza's aggressiveness. Since that was the case, she could only use her own way to solve this once and for all. Lisa was so angry that she couldn't speak. How could Eliza be reconciled to this? She naturally had to find another way to get back at him. So she stared at Ningxi's stunning outfit and said, Today is Mr. Lu's birthday. The main characters are Mr. Lu and Mrs. Lu. You're dressed like this to steal the spotlight. Do you have any basic etiquette as a guest? Ningxi's outfit tonight was indeed too high-profile and eye-catching. From the moment she appeared, many people had been secretly sizing her up, especially those young girls at the scene, not to mention the rich young masters in the circle. Hearing Eliza's words, everyone also felt that it was inappropriate for Ningxi to dress like this. Usually, big stars would be invited to such occasions to liven up the atmosphere. Ningxi wasn't the only one who came tonight. The other artists were very sensible and deliberately avoided the limelight of Mrs. Lu. They were dressed very low-key, but only Ningxi was dressed in an eye-catching bright red. Bright red was an orthodox color in Hua country. Usually, on such an important occasion, only the hosts could wear it. Guests would try their best to avoid it. Ningxi's outfit was indeed not appropriate. Several rich young ladies gathered together and discussed softly. Ningxi's outfit is indeed a bit too high profile. Isn't this a slap to Mrs. Lu's face? This is inevitable. No matter how famous she is just an actress after all. How would she know so many rules? Just then, a loud commotion came from the entrance. It was the main character of the night, Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao, who had always liked to wear dark colors, was wearing a bright maroon suit today, making him look even more handsome. Perhaps it was because today was his birthday, and he was in a good mood. The man's expression was not so cold and stern, but a little more lively. "Boss Liu. Happy birthday, Mr. Liu. Happy birthday." Amidst the congratulatory and admiring gazes, the man nodded slightly and simply exchanged greetings with the guests. At the same time, he strode into the venue. The man's long legs didn't stop. Under everyone's gaze, he walked straight to the girl in the red dress, who was as dazzling as the sun. The man stood in front of the girl, his arm naturally wrapping around the girl's waist. He bent down slightly, his thin lips landing a precious kiss on the girl's soft lips. The girl's indifferent mouth instantly bloomed like a flower. She smiled slightly and said softly, "Happy birthday." At this moment the man, who had always been as cold as an iceberg, had a faint smile in his eyes. "Thank you, madam." Chapter 2106. Above their heads were thousands of stars, and the colorful lights, hanging all around, gave the lawn a dreamy glow. In the middle of the venue, the handsome man and the dazzling girl in front of him stared at each other silently. This scene was as beautiful as a fairy tale. Seeing Lu Tingxiao holding Ningxi in his arms and kissing her tenderly, hearing Lu Tingxiao's words, and hearing the extremely affectionate word "madam." All the young ladies who were commenting on Ningxi's clothes just now were all dumbfounded. Eliza was still angry at the fact that Ningxi had overestimated herself and snatched a man from her. At this moment, her exquisite and sweet little face looked as if she had seen a ghost. She stared blankly at the two intimate people beside her. Li Mian's expression was even more so. The woman beside Lu Tingxiao, whom he doted on to the bone, the legendary Madame Lu, was actually Ningxi. Ningxi's words earlier on were not an excuse to get out of the situation. It was true. She was really married. After a short moment of silence, the crowd burst into an uproar. "Oh my God! Ningxi is Madame Lu. Lu Tingxiao's wife is Ningxi? That's way too shocking." In that instant, everyone seemed to have suddenly understood why Ningxi was wearing such a color tonight. She was the main character, all right? Apart from her, no one else had the right to wear such a color and outfit. It was laughable that all of them were still dressed in such a low profile, afraid that they would steal Madame Lu's limelight. No one could steal Madame Lu's limelight. Lu Tingxiao naturally allowed the girl to hold his arm, as he swept his gaze across everyone present, and announced the start of the banquet. "Thank you everyone for coming today. Madam and I are very honored. I hope everyone has a pleasant evening." Pleasant. It was so pleasant to see that their idol was taken. Sob, sob, sob. Lu Tingxiao's fangirls who had specially come today were stuffed with a large amount of dog food, and were almost about to cry. In the eyes of everyone, Lu Tingxiao had always been an aloof person. There were even many who thought that he liked men, who knew that he would amaze the world with a single brilliant feat when he displayed his affection. It was so brutal that it made one's insides tremble. How could this be? How could it be Ningxi? Although I admit that Ningxi is very beautiful, in terms of status and family background, how can she be worthy of Lu Tingxiao? Exactly. If this was second young master's wife, it would be understandable. But this is the position of the Lu family's mistress. Unfortunately, no matter how unwilling he was, this was already a fact. Even if he didn't want to admit it, the beautiful couple not far away was really pleasing to the eye. A group of young ladies were muttering indignantly when another low voice came from the entrance. "Ah, it's General Zhuang," someone exclaimed. The old man's hair was white, but his body was strong and his spirit was hale and hearty. Even though he wasn't wearing a military uniform, he still had the aura of someone who came from the battlefield. The middle-aged man beside him had a similar aura, but it was sharper and colder, and his pair of eagle eyes had a terrifying luster. On Zhuang Zhongren's left was Zhuang Liaoyuan, and on his right was Meng Linlang, who was wearing a cheongsam and looked as elegant as ever. Behind them was Zhuang Ku'er, who was wearing a custom-made dress, and Zhuang Rongguang, who who was standing tall and straight in a military uniform. This family could be said to be extremely eye-catching. Instantly, everyone's eyes were drawn to them. Chapter 2107. It seems that the whole Zhuang family is here. It's true. When did the Zhuang family and the Lu family become so close? The whole Zhuang family is here for Lu Tingxiao's birthday? Everyone was a little suspicious. It's a little strange. One is in the military, and the other is in business. They are just acquaintances, right? Especially old Master Zhuang. He has never been close to anyone, especially businessmen. Why would he come to a junior's birthday party in person? But it's hard to say. The Lu family is a force that even the higher-ups are afraid of. I'm afraid the Zhuang family is no exception. That's true. On the other side, Zhuang Ke spotted Ningxi, the most dazzling girl in the crowd. She immediately ran to Ningxi and greeted her intimately. Xiaoxi, Ke, you're here too. Ningxi smiled sincerely when she saw Zhuang Ke. Zhuang Rongguang, who was in a military uniform, rushed to Ningxi like a monkey and said with a proud expression, "Brother Shi, look. Let me ask you, am I handsome or not? Do I look handsome?" Ningxi looked at the young man, who was becoming more and more energetic. Her eyes were full of admiration, and she praised him generously. "You're indeed more handsome." Zhuang Rongguang was overjoyed when he heard what he wanted to hear. Meng Linlang gave her son a helpless look, and then looked at Ningxi's outfit. Her eyes lit up. "Shi, you look so good in this outfit. You're too plain. At your age, you should wear bright colors. Don't forget that you won't be able to wear them when you're my age." Seeing this scene not far away, the expressions of the young ladies became somewhat complicated. Why are all the Zhuang family members so close to Ningxi? Do you even need to ask? It must be because of the Lu family. She is the young mistress of the Lu family, the mistress of the family. Damn, what kind of luck did he have? She really turned into a phoenix when she flew up the branch. It's so unfair. All of us here are much more powerful than her. What is the Lu family thinking? How could they let such a person marry into their family? Even if they don't think about themselves, they should think about the genes and bloodline of their descendants. Ningxi doesn't deserve Big Brother Lu at all. Seeing that Ningxi was so familiar with the people of the Zhuang family, the young ladies felt even more unbalanced. They gathered in groups of 3 or 4 and whispered. Only Li Mayan, who knew the inside story, had a bitter smile on his face. How could Zhuang Zongren not hear these voices? His face changed almost instantly. Grandpa Lu had a bad temper. Not to mention this matter involved his most beloved granddaughter. So he scowled and said angrily, "Who said my Sisi doesn't deserve this brat from the Lu family?" The deep and hoarse voice was transmitted into everyone's ears. The moment Zhuang Zongren's slightly angry voice rang out, the entire venue was immediately enveloped by a wave of pressure. Those young ladies who were whispering to each other didn't even dare to breathe loudly. At the same time, they all looked at each other in shock. What did General Zhuang just say? My Sisi? At this time, Yin Rui came forward with a smile on her face to smooth things over. Mr. Lu, don't say that. Xiaoxi is your granddaughter. Even Master Xian Jing said that Xiaoxi will bring prosperity to her husband and family. It's the blessing of our Lu family that we can marry a daughter-in-law like Xiaoxi. Chapter 2108. Upon hearing Yin Rui's words, the young ladies who boasted about their family backgrounds were all stunned. Old Zhuang's granddaughter? Ningxi is General Zhuang's granddaughter. Damn, how is that possible? So, Ningxi did not transform into a phoenix. She was a phoenix to begin with, okay? This was the #1 aristocratic family in the capital city, a top-notch military and political family. Which of the young ladies present could compare to her? Alyssa claimed that her mother had the blood of the royal family of Country F. But everyone knew that the so-called royal family was just a name. They had no real power at all. The real power lay in the military. Alyssa listened to the discussions around her. When she heard her name being compared to Ning Shi's, her arrogant expression turned into one of disbelief. This woman, and the Zhuang family. How could it be? No one would have thought that this girl, who had made her way to where she was today, would have such a terrifying identity and background. She had even married into a family like the Lu family. This Ning Shi is really unfathomable. Aren't you hiding it too well? Isn't that right? Who would have thought that she had such a relationship with the Zhuang family? Speaking up to this point, the young ladies had a change of opinion. If Ning Shi wanted to use these connections to climb up the social ladder, she could easily do so. But she had kept a low profile until now. It was just like what Ning Shi had said when she was interviewing for Noble Perfume. True elegance and nobility did not come from using the name of a luxury brand, twirling the expensive accessories on one's wrist, or showing off one's beauty and knowledge. True elegance was that even if one's clothes were ragged and unkempt, one's nobility could not be concealed. True elegance was that even if one hid her identity and never showed off, the bloodline in her bones could not be erased. Some of the people who came today were madams in the circle. They seemed to have long known the relationship between Ning Shi and the Zhuang family. At this moment, they were also chatting with Meng Linlang and Ning Shi. They were very kind and friendly to Ning Shi. It seemed that they were very familiar with each other. Yin Rui and Lu Chongshan's love for their daughter-in-law was obvious. Now that things had come to this point, those young ladies who were unwilling to give up had all lost their temper. Come on, don't be so sour. They are a perfect match, a match made in heaven. Yen Rui's words quelled old Master Zhuang's anger. But there was still some lingering anger on his face. When this old man, who had been in the military for half his life, got angry, no one could calm him down. When Yen Rui and Lu Chongshan were embarrassed and even Ning Shi, Lu Tingxiao and Zhuang Ke were helpless, a soft voice came from the side. Great-grandpa. When the old man saw the obedient and cute little darling in front of him, his anger instantly disappeared and turned into a face full of happiness. His cold face was filled with love. Little treasure, come, quickly come to great-grandpa's side. Xiao Bao, the fully automatic mobile fire extinguisher, walked over obediently. The old and the young chatted happily, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. Seeing that the old man was finally not angry, Ning Shi and Lu Tingxiao looked at each other and smiled, and they heaved a sigh of relief. Zhuang Rongguang, on the other hand, was extremely jealous and gritted his teeth at the side. Why was this little burden so favored? The next update will be a little later. Everyone go to sleep first. Chapter 2109. On the lawn, the melodious birthday song sounded, and Lu Jingli and Zhuang Rongguang slowly pushed out a huge birthday cake that was more than 10 stories high. The audience applauded and sang the birthday song, wishing Lu Tingxiao's birthday and the family of 3. Xiao Bao and Lu Tingxiao were wearing parent-child outfits today, and the father and son were wearing the same color as Ning Shi's. The family of 3 stood together, which was very pleasing to the eye. Accompanied by candlelight and music, on the huge LED screen, there were pictures of Ning Shi, Lu Tingxiao, and Xiao Bao getting along with each other. Almost all of those photos were taken by Lu Jingli. Even Ning Shi herself didn't know when he had secretly taken those photos. There were pictures of Lu Tingxiao wearing a bright royal blue suit for the first time, pictures of Ning Shi cooking in the kitchen, and pictures of Xiao Bao and Lu Tingxiao helping her. There were even pictures of Xiao Bao's school masquerade party, where Ning Shi dressed up as Little Red Riding Hood, and Xiao Bao and Lu Tingxiao dressed up as Little Grey Wolf and Big Grey Wolf, which made the audience exclaim. No one could imagine that the aloof Lu Tingxiao would do such a thing, wearing cute Big Grey Wolf clothes, and accompanying his son to the school masquerade party. In the picture there was a family of 3. The girl was charming and lovely, and the little boy was cute and silly. Although the man was expressionless as usual, his eyes were full of gentleness. Lu Jingli looked at the stunned expressions of those people, and he was so happy. Ha 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 ha. I finally have a chance to show off all the dog food I've eaten all these years. Lu Jingli crazily showed off his dog food. And as he wished, all the single dogs present were stuffed to the point of vomiting. Second young master. That's enough. Stop it. Do you have any humanity? Give us single dogs a way out. The crowd was full of envy. Sigh, the three of them look like a real family when they stand together. I can't tell that Ningxi's mother is a stepmother at all. This woman can't be underestimated. She even managed to get the Lu family's young master. You should know that this young master is very difficult to deal with. In addition to envy, there were also some unpleasant voices. Someone sighed and said, although they are a good match, I don't think Ningxi will have a good life in the future. After all, it's hard to be a stepmother. That's true. She has become someone's stepmother at such a young age, and it's even in such a big family. Moreover, the young master is so spoiled. If she doesn't handle the relationship well, the conflict will not be light. No matter what, she's not his biological mother. Although he had already expected these sounds, they still sounded unusually ear-piercing. Lu Jingli saw that Little Bun's expression was gradually changing, so he hurriedly switched to another CD. He was prepared to play some interesting photos of his older brother when he was young. He wanted to trick his older brother, lighten the atmosphere, and change the topic. The LED screen turned black, and the image of the family of three disappeared. However, it quickly lit up again and began to play another set of photos. Lu Jingli smirked. Brother, there are pictures of you naked when you were young. Lu Tingxiao gave his younger brother a sidelong glance. Lu Jingli was so scared that he hugged his head. No. The furthest he could go was just a little bit of his stomach. I know that this kind of photo can only be shown to your wife. Sister-in-law, don't worry. I'll secretly send it to you later. Chapter 2110. Ningxi glanced at dumbass speechless. She really wanted to see Lu Tingxiao's childhood photos. Would he look exactly like Xiao Bao? It was rare for second young master to show off boss Lu's childhood photos. Everyone looked up at the screen with interest. A photo slowly cut in. The background was a hospital with a sign for obstetrics and gynecology. A pregnant girl was sitting on a bench next to it. Lu Jingli's expression changed the moment he saw the photo. Because the pregnant girl in the photo was Ningxi. Although the girl's face was much younger than it was now, it could still be seen that it was Ningxi. While he was stunned, countless photos flashed on the screen. They were all photos of Ningxi with her pregnant belly. The hospital on the road in the park. Huh? What's going on? Is that Ningxi in the photo? She looks very young, but it should be Ningxi. But why is she sitting in front of the obstetrics and gynecology department with a pregnant belly? Fuck. Lu Jingli's face darkened. He was about to pull out the CD when a big hand stopped him. If he stopped the video now, it would only cause more speculation, and he would not be able to explain himself. At this moment, Ningxi's face was completely pale after seeing the photo. She was in a trance. Lu Tingxiao stopped Lu Jingli from pulling out the CD. He reached out and hugged the girl's slightly trembling shoulders. It's okay. Lu Tingxiao looked at those photos attentively. He watched Ningxi walk alone, go shopping, and go to the hospital alone with Xiao Bao in her arms. His brows were filled with an indescribable expression, and he unconsciously tightened his arms around the girl. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, a shrill female voice came from the crowd. A woman in a waitress uniform stumbled out of the crowd and rushed to the big screen. She screamed crazily, "What daughter of a rich family? What daughter of God?" This woman was pregnant by a wild man at the age of 18, and she still pretended to be pure and noble in front of you. She's a piece of trash. She's a shameless bitch. The crowd was even more shocked when they saw Ning Xuelu. Ah, that woman looks like Ning Xuelua? Yes, it's her. The adopted daughter of the Ning family. The one who was recently kicked out of the Ning family. Due to Ning Xuelua's recent incident, many people present recognized her. Thinking of her relationship with Ning Shi, everyone believed those photos even more. If it was Ning Xuelua, It would be normal for her to know Ningxi's secrets. Did she sneak in to take revenge on Ningxi? Who would have thought that such a big thing would happen at Lu Tingxiao's birthday party? Lu Tingxiao's wife, the matriarch of the Lu family, had such a scandal exposed. Pregnant out of wedlock at 18. Oh my god. No way. Was Ning Xuelua telling the truth? Ningxi got knocked up by a wild man when she was 18? Does the Lu family know about this? Does Lu Tingxiao know about it? Of course you don't know. Otherwise, how could he marry such a woman? It was too terrifying. As expected, the private lives of women in the entertainment circle are so messy that it's scary. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.